Beyond the Gates spoilers tease that the lesbian relationship between Madison and Chelsea is blooming, appearing tender and sincere on the surface. They meet in college, the kind of connection that feels fated, colliding under fluorescent library lights, over the shared weight of academic stress and mutual admiration for obscure 1980s horror films. Madison, quiet yet magnetic, draws Chelsea in slowly, carefully. Chelsea, bright-eyed and earnest, falls hard. Their chemistry is unmistakable, and to anyone watching, they look like the picture of young love. But things aren't as they seem. Underneath the soft laughter and hand-holding is something darker, calculated. Madison keeps a journal, thick with scribbled plans and clippings, some torn from old newspapers, others printed in a trembling rage. Hidden beneath her dorm bed, the journal is a roadmap of vengeance. She never meant to fall into this role, she tells herself. She was made for it. Her father, once a respected small-town accountant, had been found dead in their garage 10 years ago. Officially, it was suicide. But Madison had listened behind doors, had pieced together late-night conversations between grieving relatives and officers who seemed too eager to close the file. She had stared at the manila folder that her mother hid in the Attica coroner's report, marked with inconsistencies, a single photograph of her father's bruised hands. That image seared itself into her memory. And at the center of it all was one name scrawled into the margins of a half-burned letter: Thomas Reese. Chelsea's father. He wasn't just an accountant like her dad. He was a high-profile investor back then, operating quietly in the same circles, only louder, more reckless. Madison's father had tried to blow the whistle on a fraudulent deal, records manipulated, pensions drained, lives destroyed. He had gathered evidence, sent copies to the police and to Thomas. Days later, he was dead. Madison moved through her adolescence steeled by this belief. She watched Chelsea from afar for months before approaching. Chelsea, the perfect mark. Sweet, open, trusting. The daughter of the man who had erased her family with a signature and a smile. What started as reconnaissance slowly shifted into a form of emotional infiltration. Madison rehearsed every word, every glance, to ensure her manipulation came across as authentic affection. And she succeeded. Chelsea was defenseless. But even Madison was unprepared for the way Chelsea's kindness disarmed her. At times, she would forget the plan. During long walks in the woods or nights lying on dorm beds whispering secrets, something in Madison would wobble, unsure. Could it be love? But the journal always called her back. She would reread old entries when doubt crept in. Her father's voice echoed through her every step. Don't let them get away with it. Chelsea brought Madison home for winter break. Her family was picture perfect, warm, affluent, laughing too hard around the fireplace. Thomas, the patriarch, was charming in that upper-middle-class way, offering expensive wine and cringe-worthy jokes. Madison smiled, nodded, and watched. Behind her eyes, calculations spun like gears. Chelsea's mother, Julia, was distant, cold. There was something performative about her hospitality. Madison noted it. She saw cracks, fault lines. The family wasn't as perfect as they appeared. She would exploit everyone. She began to sow seeds subtly, suggesting that Chelsea's sister, Lily, had a strange edge to her. Was she drinking more? Was she skipping class? Innocent questions delivered with concerned eyebrows. Chelsea started to worry. Julia's temper frayed when Madison accidentally dropped a glass. Thomas dismissed it, but Madison saw something in Julia's eyes. A hardness. And slowly, Madison whispered doubt into Chelsea's ear about her own father. Have you ever wondered how your dad got so successful? What do you mean? I mean, my dad was in finance too. He always said there were sharks out there. People who'd do anything for money. People who made others disappear. Chelsea laughed at first. But the idea lingered. Madison nurtured it with half-stories, things her father supposedly told her, each one painting Thomas Reese in a murkier light. Then came the photo. One night, Madison showed Chelsea a grainy image, two men shaking hands. One was unmistakably Thomas. The other, she claimed, was her father. They worked together? Chelsea asked. For a while. Until my dad found something he wasn't supposed to. It was the moment the narrative shifted. Chelsea began asking questions. At home, she rifled through her father's documents when he wasn't around. She found shredded papers, burner phones. But she didn't know what it meant. Madison played innocent, never pushing too hard, just letting the implication fester. That spring, tragedy struck. Lily was found unconscious at a party, a dangerous mix of drugs and alcohol in her system. Chelsea blamed herself, even though she had no idea Madison had slipped something into Lily's drink hours earlier. It wasn't lethal. Madison didn't want to move too fast, but it was enough to cast doubt. Julia spiraled. She accused Chelsea of bringing bad influence home. Chelsea, caught between grief and confusion, leaned harder on Madison. And Madison held her, whispering reassurances with a poison edge. Maybe your family isn't what you think. Maybe you deserve better. Thomas, sensing the fracture, tried to keep Chelsea close. But his charm was wearing thin. Madison painted him as controlling. When he checked in too often, Madison spun it as surveillance. When he questioned their relationship, she framed it as bigotry. He doesn't like me, Chelsea. He never will. Because he knows what he did. By summer, Chelsea had all but detached from her family. Madison had taken up a summer internship in their city, conveniently close. She stayed over often. Julia grew colder. Thomas tried to reach out, offering family therapy, but Chelsea refused. Madison tightened her grip, inching toward the final phase. The journal had dates circled. Entries had grown darker, more urgent. There was an incident from years back, a missing assistant at Thomas's firm. Unsolved. Madison brought it up during one of their late-night talks. I think my dad knew something about that too. Chelsea didn't argue. She just listened, broken open by doubt. Madison saw it. Saw her edge closer to the truth she wanted her to believe. Then Madison made a mistake. In a moment of rare vulnerability, she left the journal out. Not in full view, but enough for Chelsea to find when searching for her missing phone. Chelsea opened it. Saw pages and pages of calculated entries, timelines, photos of her family marked with notes. A passage that chilled her. Target Chelsea first. Emotional anchor. Use affection as leverage. Chelsea froze. She didn't say anything. Just closed it, tucked it back. But something in her changed. The next morning, she acted normal. Too normal. Madison didn't notice at first. But slowly, the rhythm between them shifted. Chelsea pulled back, gently. Refused to talk about her family. Madison panicked. Her plan couldn't derail now. She pushed too hard. Is something wrong? No. Everything's fine. Lies. Madison knew that tone. Her heart pounded. She checked the journal. Knew Chelsea had seen it. Then Chelsea disappeared. Gone from campus, no texts, no calls. Madison spiraled. She drove to her house. Julia answered the door, stony-faced. She doesn't want to see you. Please, I need to talk to her. Thomas appeared behind Julia. Leave, or we call the cops. Madison stood in the rain, shaking. Her plan was unraveling. She had miscalculated. Love had made her sloppy. But it wasn't over. Not yet. Her father's face returned to her like a ghost in the glass of her windshield as she drove off. She would finish what she started. Even if Chelsea had turned against her. Even if she had to burn everything down to do it. Madison vanished from campus for nearly a month. Rumors spread. She dropped out, she transferred, she was hospitalized. None of them were true. She'd moved into a rental house 2 cities over, using cash she'd been hoarding for years. Her next moves had to be flawless. Emotional manipulation hadn't worked. Now it was time for something less subtle. Her first move came when Julia received an anonymous email. A video file. In it, footage of Thomas's office at night, grainy and low quality, showing him shredding files and speaking to someone off camera. The audio was muffled, but one phrase was clear: "We make this go away, and no one has to get hurt." Julia watched it 3 times before calling Thomas into the room. He denied everything. Said the footage was edited, fake. But Julia didn't believe him. The mistrust Madison had planted months ago now blossomed like mold in the walls. Madison then focused on Lily, still vulnerable after her overdose. She found her on social media, started messaging her from a fake account. At first, just small talk. Then slowly, she fed her pieces of true things only someone inside the family would know. Lily, isolated, paranoid, began to suspect everyone. She confronted Chelsea during a brief phone call. "Who the hell is Madison, really? What did she do to me?" Chelsea didn't answer. Because Chelsea was no longer sure herself. Madison wanted to make them question their realities. It wasn't about killing anymore, not immediately. It was about unraveling. Driving each of them to destroy the others. She planted a burner phone in the Reese family mailbox with recorded conversations between Thomas and an unknown accomplice, some of which were real, others stitched together using AI voice synthesis Madison had paid for using the dark web. The recordings hinted at payoffs, threats, even murders disguised as accidents. It was enough to make Julia confront Thomas with a steak knife in her trembling hand. "Tell me the truth," she said. He called her paranoid. He accused Madison. Said the girl was insane. But he couldn't explain the recordings. Or why their family attorney stopped answering his calls. That night, Lily disappeared. Madison hadn't touched her. But she'd done enough. Chelsea, desperate to find her sister, called Madison for the first time in weeks. "I know you're involved." Madison's voice was soft, almost sweet. "In what?" "In all of it. I only ever told the truth. It's not my fault if your family was built on lies. You used me." "No," Madison said, almost sadly. "I loved you. I still do." Chelsea hung up. But the damage had reached critical mass. Julia filed for separation. Thomas lost his company board seat after someone leaked the shredding footage and anonymous accusations to the press. Madison watched it unfold on her cracked laptop, a cold satisfaction curling in her chest. Then Lily's body was found in a wooded area outside the city. "No signs of foul play," said the coroner. "Accidental overdose." But Chelsea didn't believe it. She stared at the phone in her hand, the last message Lily had sent. "I know what Dad did." The funeral was small. Julia sobbed into Chelsea's shoulder. Thomas didn't speak. And from far away, hidden in the trees beyond the cemetery gate, Madison watched in silence. But the grief didn't bring closure. It brought rage. Chelsea broke into her father's study 3 days later and found what she'd been afraid to face. Documents, logs, and one blood-stained journal that wasn't Madison's. Her father's. In it, fragments of guilt, buried sins, and a confession half-written in red ink. A line that repeated, he knew. He was going to go to the police. She confronted him. "You killed him, didn't you?" Madison's dad. He didn't deny it. Only looked down, like a king watching his castle burn. "It was complicated," he whispered. "He left me no choice." Chelsea left that night and never looked back. 2 weeks later, Thomas Reese was found dead in his study. Gunshot. Apparent suicide. But the fingerprints didn't match. No forced entry. No weapon ever found. Julia suspected Madison. So did the police. But they couldn't prove it. Because Madison had vanished again. This time for good. Or so they thought. 6 months passed. Chelsea moved to a new city, started over. Changed her name. Took therapy seriously. Tried to put it all behind her. But she never stopped looking over her shoulder. Then, one night, she returned home to find a letter on her kitchen counter. No return address. Inside, a single photo. It was of her and Madison. Holding hands. Smiling. The note beneath it read, "Truth is love. And love never dies." Chelsea dropped it, heart racing. She knew it wasn't over. Because Madison always said revenge had no expiration date. And she was still out there. Waiting.